This is the fifth case presentation in the series of cassette clinics in obstetrics and gynecology prepared by Dr. Mrs. Swati Vaidya of Karnataka Health Institute, Ghataprabha. Pregnancy with previous caesarean section. 23 years old second gravida, Sunita Patil from Sangli, comes with history of 8.5 months amenorrhea for antenatal checkup. Menstrual history, menarche at 13 years, regularly menstruating with 3 to 4 days moderate flow. LMP is 24th March 2009, so EDD is 31st December 2009. Obstetric history, married 3 years back, gravida 2, para 1, living 1, abortion 0. Gravida 1 was a full-term caesarean section at government hospital 2 years back, living male child. The exact indication for caesarean section is not known to the patient, but probably it was cephalopelvic disproportion. Why do you say that? From the history that she had started leaking 2 to 3 hours prior to the admission to the hospital, there was no antepartum bleeding. She was examined and immediately taken for caesarean without trial labor. So probably the indication requiring immediate caesarean section was cephalopelvic disproportion, which can also cause leaking before established labor. That's right. You should take a detailed history to know the probable indication for the previous caesarean section. But what is the significance? Sir, some indications are recurrent. For example, contracted pelvis, which will definitely require caesarean section again. While some indications are non-recurrent. For example, placenta previa, accidental hemorrhage or fetal distress, in whom we should consider a trial labor. Also, history of previous normal labor rules out contracted pelvis and indicates that trial of normal delivery may be given. So, if the indication is definite, an elective caesarean section will be preferred, as it will have less fetal and maternal distress and a better and stronger scar than one performed after a prolonged obstructed labor. Proceed. The previous caesarean section was performed under general anesthesia. Why did you ask that? This indicates that she did not have any major cardiorespiratory problems or fetal distress that would contraindicate general anesthesia. The baby's weight was 3.2 kg, no history of purpural pyrexia, wound infection or foul-smelling lochia. Why? History of purpural infection may be associated with ascending infection, which causes poor healing of the scar and a weak scar, which is more likely to rupture during the present pregnancy. Alright. So, what are the points in history that you will ask about the previous caesarean section? Firstly, what was the indication for the previous caesarean section? Whether it was elective or emergency, whether the indication was recurrent or non-recurrent. Then what anesthesia was used? What type of operation was performed, whether classical or lower segment, and whether there was any post-operative infection. Don't you want to know when or how long back the previous caesarean was done? Yes, sir. The interval between the first caesarean and the next conception should be at least 1 year. If it is less than 1 year, the chances of scar rupture are very high. Proceed with the findings. On examination, the height is 145 centimeters, weight is 54 kg, pulse is 84 per minute, regular, blood pressure is 110 by 70 millimeters of mercury, there is mild pallor, no edema, respiratory and cardiovascular systems are normal. Per abdomen, linear infraumbilical midline scar is seen. Uterine height corresponds to 36 weeks and is 32 centimeters. So the estimated fetal weight is 3100 grams. Estimated fetal age is 37 weeks. On palpation, breech is felt at the fundus, back is felt on the left side and limbs on the right side. On pelvic grips, head is floating and ballotable with occiput and sinciput at the same level. So it is a longitudinal lie with cephalic presentation and left anterior oblique position. FHS are best heard between the umbilicus and the left anterior superior iliac spine, 140 per minute, regular. There is no scar tenderness. What does scar tenderness indicate? Scar tenderness indicates scar dehiscence or scar rupture. What is the difference between the two? In scar dehiscence, the peritoneal coat is still intact. Once the peritoneum has also given way, it is termed as scar rupture. What are the other signs that suggest a scar dehiscence? Apart from scar tenderness, unexplained tachycardia and hypotension, variations in the fetal heart rate, scar tenderness, ballooning of the lower uterine segment, and failure of progress of labor without apparent cause. And what are the signs of scar rupture? Shock with pallor, tachycardia and hypotension, generalized tenderness over the abdomen, fetal parts are easily and superficially felt, uterus may be felt separate, and FHS may be absent. Where will you palpate for scar tenderness? For lower segment scar, I will look for the tenderness transversely over the uterus in the lower third between umbilicus and symphysis pubis. For upper segment or the classical scar, I will look for it vertically in the midline above and below the umbilicus. What type of operation was performed in this case? Sir, probably lower segment because the scar is entirely infraumbilical, starting well below the umbilicus. In a classical operation, the scar would extend to the umbilicus or above. What is the difference between classical and lower segment caesarean section? A classical caesarean is done by taking a vertical incision in the upper segment, while the lower segment caesarean is a transverse incision in the lower segment. Which is the better operation? Sir, lower segment, because it gives a stronger and better scar. Why? Firstly, the classical incision is a muscle cutting incision, while lower segment incision is a muscle splitting incision. Secondly, upper segment is an active segment which is constantly contracting and relaxing in the puerperal period. This loosens the stitches and affects uterine scar healing. Thirdly, the upper segment is much thicker and forms a gutter on the inner side which collects blood, lochia and favors infection. Then in future pregnancies, there are more chances of placental implantation over the classical scar, which makes the scar thin and friable. Secondly, classical scar has to stretch from the beginning of the pregnancy till term, so the rupture may occur at any time during the pregnancy, while the lower segment stretches late in the third trimester and usually ruptures during labor when the patient is in the hospital under observation. Also, the rupture is more catastrophic with higher maternal and fetal mortality in the classical scar than the lower segment scar. So, the scar of lower segment caesarean section is stronger and better. What are the other disadvantages of a classical operation? Sir, the blood loss is more as the upper segment is more vascular and thicker, and placenta may often be under the incision. If infection occurs, it can spread directly to the peritoneal cavity. Then the scar is exposed to the peritoneal cavity, so higher chances of adhesions to the bowel, omentum or the abdominal scar. And the scar is weaker with higher chances of rupture in the subsequent pregnancies. Is there any disadvantage with the lower segment approach? Sir, it takes a little longer time which is required to dissect the bladder down. And the only problem is when the scar needs to be extended to manipulate the baby. If it extends laterally, it may tear the uterine artery and cause hemorrhage. Hence, it has to be extended by making an inverted T, which gives a very weak scar at T junction. So, is there any role for classical caesarean section in modern obstetrics? Sir, classical caesarean is still indicated when the lower segment is not accessible due to dense adhesions, bladder advancement or severe kyphoscoliosis. Then presence of myoma over the lower segment, presence of carcinoma of cervix where the lower segment incision will cause profuse bleeding, and immediate post-mortem cesarean section for saving the baby. Now coming back to the case, where were we? Sir, there is no scar tenderness. Yes. What other tests are available to test scar integrity? Ultrasonography to measure the thickness of the scar. After delivery, per vaginal digital examination to palpate the scar for integrity. And in between pregnancies, the scar can be tested by hysterosalpingography. In the lateral view, if the groove of the previous scar is more than 3 mm, then the scar is considered as weak. Proceed. The head is floating, ballotable and deflexed. Head fitting test is negative. What is head fitting test? It is a method of assessment of the pelvis clinically. The patient is given recumbent position to align the axis of the uterus and the axis of the pelvic inlet. Now push the head into the pelvis. If it goes inside, then the pelvis is considered as adequate for the baby. However, it tests only the pelvic inlet. Pelvic outlet contracture cannot be judged by this test. What is your diagnosis? Second gravida with 36 weeks pregnancy with longitudinal lie cephalic presentation in left occipito-posterior position with previous LSCS and cephalopelvic disproportion. How will you manage this case? I will first investigate her blood for hemoglobin, blood group Rh, VDRL and HIV and test the urine for albumin and sugar. I would like to do ultrasound examination for fetal maturity, malpresentations, localization of placenta and to assess the thickness of the scar. At 38 weeks, I would like to do clinical pelvimetry. How will you do clinical pelvimetry? Sir, by pervaginal examination, first I will measure the diagonal conjugate. What is diagonal conjugate? It is the distance between the inferior border of the symphysis pubis and the sacral promontory. How will you measure it? I will stretch the two fingers in the vagina with index finger touching the inferior border of the symphysis pubis and the tip of the middle finger stretched to touch the sacral promontory. Now I will measure the distance between the 2 points against a perpendicular scale attached to a wall. What is its significance? Diagonal conjugate minus 1.5 centimeters gives the true conjugate of the pelvis. For example, if diagonal conjugate is 12.5 centimeters, then the true conjugate is 11 centimeters, which is sufficient for the biparietal diameter to pass through. What else will you look for? During the pervaginal examination, I will palpate the sacral curvature, the lateral pelvic walls, sacrosciatic notches and the ischial spines for undue prominence. Then I will judge the transverse diameter of the outlet by inserting the knuckles of the fist between the two ischial tuberosities. If it does not admit 4 knuckles, then the outlet is considered as contracted. What is Muller-Ker's head fitting test? The patient is given exaggerated lithotomy position. The examiner's left hand pushes the head into the pelvic cavity with index and middle fingers of the right hand in the vagina and thumb placed flat over the symphysis pubis. Palpate for the station of the head in the vagina and push the head till it is at the level of the ischial spines. Now if the head overrides the symphysis pubis and is palpable to the right thumb, there is a major degree of disproportion at the pelvic inlet. If the head is at the level of symphysis pubis, then there is moderate degree of disproportion. And if the head goes below the level of the symphysis pubis, then there is no disproportion at the inlet. Now considering that this patient has cephalopelvic disproportion, how will you manage her? I will admit her 15 days prior to the expected date of delivery with a plan to do elective cesarean section after the fetus is mature. Why do you want to admit her so early? Because about 20% of multigravidae deliver within 15 days prior to the expected date of delivery, and it is imperative that the patient is in hospital at the onset of labor. So you want to wait for the onset of labor pains? Yes sir. If we do the cesarean section earlier, the maturity of the baby may not be achieved and the lower segment may not be well formed. So it is better to wait for the onset of labor pains. But caesarean section may be done before that once the baby is confirmed to be mature. And how will you confirm that the baby is mature? From the history of expected date of delivery derived from the date of last menstrual period, previous ANC record and PV in the first trimester, and secondly from the tests of fetal maturity, that is ultrasonography by measuring the biparietal diameter, femur length and abdominal circumference. Secondly, a plain X-ray of the abdomen in which the center of ossification of lower femoral epiphysis appears at 36 weeks, upper end of tibia appears at 38 weeks and cuboid at 40 weeks. And lastly, by biochemical tests on amniotic fluid obtained by amniocentesis. The amniotic fluid is examined for urea and creatinine levels, amniotic fluid osmolarity and Nile blue sulfate test. Urea and creatinine levels increase with the maturity of the fetal kidney. Amniotic fluid osmolarity decreases near term. And in Nile blue sulfate test, the fat-laden fetal squamous cells are stained orange and their percentage in the fluid is counted. They are 10% or more at 36 weeks, 50% at 40 weeks and more than 50% in post-maturity. What are the advantages of an elective caesarean section? The patient is on empty stomach and well prepared for anesthesia, and the best team of surgeon, anesthetist and pediatrician is available. What anesthesia will you prefer for this case? Spinal anesthesia, because it gives excellent relaxation of the abdomen and the baby will have no respiratory depression. Of course, the operation can be performed under any anesthesia, local, spinal, epidural or general, but each has its own advantages and disadvantages. Which is the best? Local anesthesia is safest to the baby and the mother, but it requires cooperation of the patient and is generally reserved for cases where both general and spinal anesthesia are contraindicated, for example in respiratory diseases or uncontrolled hypertension. What are the complications of general anesthesia? Sir, the premedications and anesthetic gases can cross the placental barrier and depress the fetal respiration. Secondly, if the patient is not well prepared, vomiting and aspiration of the gastric contents may occur, leading to Mendelssohn syndrome, that is severe bronchospasm, cyanosis and respiratory infection. And what about spinal anesthesia? Spinal anesthesia can cause sudden and severe hypotension due to sympathetic block and supine hypotension syndrome. And in postoperative period, it may cause post-spinal headache. Can you tell in short the procedure of LSCS? The patient is first catheterized to keep the bladder empty throughout the operation. After administering anesthesia, skin is painted with iodine and draped. An infraumbilical midline vertical incision is taken. After opening the peritoneum, the lower segment of the uterus is identified by the loose attachment of the visceral peritoneum. The peritoneum is incised transversely and pushed down along with the bladder. Now a small transverse incision is taken over the lower segment and stay sutures are taken on its edges. The incision is then extended by stretching 2 fingers across it, separating the muscle fibers. Now the sac is opened, baby is extracted, IV ergometrin is given, then placenta is delivered and uterus is sutured in 2 layers of chromic catgut or single layer of polypropamide. Then the visceral peritoneum is sutured followed by the abdominal wall in layers: peritoneum, rectus sheath, subcutaneous fat and skin. Have you seen any other operation being combined with caesarean section? Yes sir, tubectomy, ovarian cyst removal and repair of incisional hernia. What are the indications for caesarean section? The absolute indications are major degree of contracted pelvis, major degree of placenta previa, previous repair of vesico-vaginal fistula and associated carcinoma of cervix. Other indications are abnormal lie like transverse lie, abnormal presentation like bro or face presentation, placenta previa grade 2 posterior, previous 2 caesarean sections or threatened rupture of previous uterine scar, and prolonged labor with fetal distress. How did the name caesarean section originate? The name originates from a law during the rule of Julius Caesar known as Lex Caesara, that after the death of a pregnant woman, she should be buried after removing the baby from her womb by cutting open the abdomen. If you want to give a trial for vaginal delivery in this patient who has had a caesarean section in the past, what are the precautions that you will take? Sir, I will hospitalize the patient. I will do clinical and X-ray pelvimetry first to ensure that there is no cephalopelvic disproportion, because there is no role for trial labor in a previous caesarean patient. I will do ultrasonography firstly to rule out malpresentations, multiple pregnancies and malformations like hydrocephalus which obstruct a vaginal delivery. Secondly, I will note the fetal age, fetal maturity, fetal weight and locate the placenta. And I will also measure the scar thickness and scar integrity on ultrasound. Right. How will you manage the labor? In the first stage, the patient is given only liquids orally. She can be ambulatory, but I will keep careful watch on the progress of the labor, signs of maternal distress such as rising pulse rate, signs of fetal distress and signs of scar dehiscence such as scar tenderness. If I see any of these complications or premature rupture of membranes, I will do an immediate caesarean section. How will you know that the old scar is about to rupture? I will suspect scar dehiscence if there is suprapubic pain aggravated during labor pains, scar tenderness, suprapubic bulge, and unexplained tachycardia and fetal distress. On ultrasonography, a thinned out scar with notching or ultrasonic windows will suggest impending scar rupture. Yes, proceed. Then I will assist the second stage of labor by an episiotomy and by application of prophylactic forceps or venous suction after full dilatation of cervix to avoid excess strain. Lastly, after completion of the third stage, I will explore the scar very gently digitally for integrity and watch for postpartum bleeding. Good. Thank you, sir. This is the end of the 5th clinic in obstetrics and gynecology on pregnancy with previous LSCS.